Well, Stanley, welcome to episode number 2, Whiskeys with Wombat. Our first one, I had my brother on, and he's going through like graphic design, going through college. He's about to getting ready to graduate. But I was particularly excited to get you on, my friend, because I think I think you do some pretty cool shit. So if you don't mind,
so much.
What's your full name?
Jason Pierce. Being interrogated.
So you were in the military. What branch?
I was. How did you know that?
A good guess. I might have seen you a time or two up in a little frozen tundra.
Yeah.
But
Cory and I served together. Mr. Wombat himself and I served together. I don't remember exactly like what kind of, you were an operator, right? Of some sort.
Something like that, but I would 35 Vox, all source intelligence analyst. And what did you do yourself?
I was a 35 Tango, so I worked on the equipment. I was like the IT guy.
But what's the actual like MOS title for that?
It's a mouthful. It's military intelligence systems maintainer and integrator.
Oh, okay. Because I just knew it's like our computers were all breaking down and stuff. You guys were the ones to talk to about it.
Yeah, we're pretty much just the gophers for all technical problems.
Right. So when did you join the Army?
I joined in 2014.
And how long were you in?
4 years.
4 years. So you just your one enlistment and then became a free man.
Yep.
Right. So
yep. I was over it at about year 2 and counting my days out.
Yeah, dude. I was basically the same way. Kind of like pretty early, I kind of realized I was like, I'm done. I more or less kind of joined with the intention originally getting out, but where are you originally from?
California.
So
I was born in Sacramento, but I grew up in this little town called Grass Valley.
Oh, really? Is that like Northern California?
Yep.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's considered Northern California, but I don't know. I've heard people argue about it, and it's like, well, okay, I'm from Central California, I guess. I don't know.
I'm from Northern Ohio, so it's just nobody ever knows it. Where it's like I'm from near Cleveland, but so you and I were stationed in Fort Richardson, Alaska, and
yep. You're
still up there, correct?
Yeah, I never left.
Yeah, dude. I wish I would have. Part of me wishes I would have stayed up there because I love the area. Which, I mean, I'm assuming if you stayed up there, you did as well. Like, so I loved it up there, but it's just so far away from family, stuff. So, so when did you get out?
I got out in 2018.
2018, right? So, what did you do, or what do you do post getting out? Like, you like contract now?
Yep. Yeah, I do really similar stuff to what I did. But I just do it as a contractor now.
Right.
And I love it.
Oh, really?
I love my coworkers and I love like my job and everything's great.
Dude, that's awesome to hear because I now contract, but just outside of DC now, and it is cancer. So this whole side of it just kind of sucks because it's like it just feels like a lot of it is still kind of like the military in a way, with like a little bit more freedom, but everybody, almost everybody is prior military, so they want to treat it like it was kind of like they're still in the military in a way. So
yeah, that could be hard.
Yeah, it's annoying. But so how would you say like your experience getting out of the military was? Because I know for me, I went through, even though I hated the military, I went through kind of a hard time getting out because it's like, for me, you're like away from the boys and stuff. Did you ever have a similar experience?
No, honestly, I felt really disconnected from almost everyone in the military. I never had the depression of like the getting out because I never really felt that connected with anybody, to be honest with you.
Right, right. I mean
Like,
go ahead.
oh, you're good. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Like, I got kind of close to some people, but then like my personality is kind of like hard to explain. I kind of like drift in and out of stuff pretty easily. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Some people take it the wrong way, but like I don't mean it any kind of way. So
No,
me
yeah.
going in, me going in and out of the military was kind of a weird experience. Like, I kind of look back at it, I'm like, that was so weird. Like, I can't believe I did that. Like, that was so like, it was a strange experience. And the entire time I was in the military, I just felt like I was wearing a uniform, like wearing like a, like a, obviously it's a uniform, but like I was like pretending, it felt weird. Like
Right.
I shouldn't have authority. Like, I shouldn't be wearing this thing. Like, this is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I feel like a lot of people will go into the military and then use that as, because I can definitely understand where you mean, where like a lot of people use that the military as a form of like identification for themselves. Like, oh, I'm a United States soldier. Where I kind of viewed the military more as like a job, where instead of this is my life, it's like I'm going to my job and then I'm going home. But I definitely felt like, at least my situation whenever I got out was like I missed some of the camaraderie that I had in the military and stuff, and like seeing kind of the same people when you become, at least for me, you get your lives become such a part of each other's, where it's like you're seeing the same people every single day and you kind of know what's going on with everybody. So that part was hard for me, but a lot of I didn't really have a problem with like not being in the army anymore, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I'm not a soldier, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so what ended up making you deciding that you were gonna?
So I was in an area where like the economy was pretty bad at the time, and basically like your really low level positions pretty much everywhere were being taken by people with like college degrees. And I was like just out of high school, and then I mean, I wasn't just out of high school, actually. It'd been a few years by the time I joined the military, but yeah, I was like struggling to just kind of make life happen.
Right.
In a job field that I really hated, I was in pest control.
Pest control?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I was a termite guy, so I was like, and I was living in Redding, California at the time, so it's like a desert.
Oh,
Real hot. Yeah, it's really hot, and I was like underneath people's houses all day in like a suit and like crawling through like black widows, trying to dig holes to spray poison to kill termites and stuff, and it was just like not fun. It sucked.
Yeah,
like that's one of those jobs that could like be on like they would talk about it on like a TV show, like like hard job, like this gross ass job to do. So we'll send this like teenager with like no life experience like down there to get in the poison. Like it was a stupid.
You're gonna be on Mike Rose Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, like something dumb.
They're gonna
sound like those jobs are probably more gross than what I actually went through, but you know what I mean. It was
yeah. Either way, I mean that sounds. Either way, that sounds fucking brutal. Like, but so
yeah.
was college?
Like, props to those guys that do that, like.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
places like Redding, like it's so hot, like it just sucked. Like just getting in the suit just to start crawling was like already miserable. You're just like,
dude, like literally like being in a sauna or like one of those sweatsuits, like literally all day. So did you? Were you at that point just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to join the military, or did you like consider college or anything?
I like, man, I tried to go to college, but like my life was too like not put together for me to make ends meet.
Right.
College. I tried it for a semester and I like literally couldn't. I just like didn't have the headspace and like the life to be able to pull it off. I don't know. I wasn't in that place in life to
Yeah.
be able to do it.
Yeah, I definitely
Um,
feel that.
I would have loved to do that, but yeah, it just wasn't in the cards.
Right.
But yeah, funny. I joined the military and it like I just kept thinking like the entire time I was in basic, I was like, I literally was crawling more as a like did he like I never crawled as much in like basic, and nothing in basic training was as hard as being a peasant.
Really?
Like
So
I swear to God, like I was like the most prepared guy. Like like when you crawl under the barbed wire for however long, and they're like shooting bullets at you
yeah.
or over you. I like was the first guy done by like a long shot. Like just actually one guy beat me. I can't lie about that. This one guy, the fastest crawler, but like me and him were done like minutes, like full minutes before anybody else.
Jesus, so you're like, I've already been here and done this. This is another fucking cakewalk.
Yeah, I mean, not that basic was like a cakewalk, but
Oh yeah,
I just
mean,
don't think it was as hard as as long as you can get put up with like being yelled at, But
yeah,
everything else, crawling and being wet and feeling gross and all that crap, like I had been dealing with that already, and then I went to basic, I was like,
yeah, just at least something you're used to, because like a lot of people will go there who have never experienced anything like that ever. So it's just like it's just a huge culture shock for them. And so you get a whole bunch of privates who are just like crying. What's going on?
Yeah, like the very first day when like the shark attacks happened or whatever, like, oh yeah, I remember this one poor human being was just crying her eyes out. Like, we were just running just to so like the drill sergeants could get a feel for like how fast we ran, just so they could divide us into our A, B, and C groups like immediately. And like she couldn't even get through that. That was like the very first thing we did off the bus, basically, and she like couldn't do it. She was like already over it.
You gotta love it. But like, supposedly they want to get rid of the shark attacks now.
Yeah, like I read some maybe duffel blog thing over it. I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't keep track of what happens in the military now because I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Except for care about, but like I don't know if that sounds bad. It's just not like I don't particularly care like over the top about politics and stuff like that. I mean, I'll talk about it, but it's not like I don't care that.
Yeah, I'm the same way, where it's kind of like I mostly enjoy it for the memes, like the army with the fuck moments and stuff, but
Yeah.
and just to see like, okay, things really haven't changed at all. But like as far as like politics and stuff, it's like I'll watch some of it, but I'm not sitting there fucking finger.
Oh, I do remember. So like I do remember reading about how they changed like the hair policy. So like I guess like women can wear their hair in different ways and stuff. And then like I was like reading about it and I was like, okay, that's interesting. But then today for the first time ever, gate guard, female had her hair like in a ponytail sticking out of her Kevlar, like running down her back. And it was like the first time I'd ever seen it like visually, and I was like, huh, like it is really noticeable, it's like very different.
Yeah, like that's crazy, because
it was like the first time I had ever like noticed something.
Right, like you actually get to see it like in reality, then instead of just being shit posting and stuff. But yeah, see, I work with the Navy now, and I'm literally like the only military or the only prior Army guy there. And so just the different cultures between, like between Army and Navy and stuff is super weird. Like hearing every day people being like, "Oh, yo, good morning, shipmate," and I'm like, "Oh, I hate you all."
Yeah, right.
And just like how much more relaxed and stuff they are. They're wear their sailor uniforms and stuff like that. I'm just in there like eye rolling, because a lot of the people who I'm working with are either like lower enlisted or like a little bit higher enlisted, like E7s and stuff like that. So it's just comical to see just the differences in cultures and stuff.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no. It's, I mean, trying to connect to Alaska is sure a handful, but
crazy we even have internet in this igloo.
Right? I mean, they just have like bear running on a gigantic hamster wheel for internet.
I'm telling that.
It's a closely kept secret from the Eskimos.
Yeah.
So I do want to spend a bit of time talking about your band. If you want to state what your band
right
is.
on, flex time.
What's that?
I said, oh, right, flex time.
Well, so what's the name of your band?
Beneath Atlantis.
Right on, dude. And if you've been following Combat Wombat TV for any little bit of time, you know well enough about Beneath Atlantis. You guys have been gracious enough to let me use your guys' music for streams, videos, stuff like that.
No problem.
Which I greatly appreciate. So because you've been, well, I'll back up a little bit. So you play drums for Beneath Atlantis.
Yep.
So how long have you been playing drums?
I've been playing since I was 13, and I'm 28. So what is that, like?
I can't math.
15 years?
Yeah.
Something like that? I don't know. I'm bad at yeah, 15, I think.
So what got you into playing drums?
I just always thought that they were fascinating. Like, the first time, I don't remember exactly the first time I ever saw like a live band play, but I just remember like being a kid and like whenever I'd see a live band play, I'd just be like hyper fixated on like the drummer, and I just thought it was so cool, like how like he uses his whole body to like play the instrument, you know, and like I just thought the whole concept of like drumming was like fascinating. Like I always thought that, and then like but I didn't really get the opportunity to actually get into it until, you know, in like middle school.
Right. So
but then I took it and ran with it.
So did you do anything like playing in a high school band or anything, or a middle school band or anything?
My first band was in high school. I had only been playing drums for like 2 years. And I also was in like marching band and symphony orchestra.
Oh, right. Right. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
So my first band was called Creative Chaos, and nothing we ever did was good. It was all terrible.
Was that mostly like more like boys getting together and playing in a garage type stuff, or
I mean, there was a girl in the band. It was like, I mean, we were trying. It was just we all sucked, but we were kids, you know. But we just weren't good. We couldn't keep time. We sped up too much and stuff. But I mean, it was fun. Like, it was like a punk alternative, like rock kind of band. I don't know.
Right. So did you, other than like playing in like marching band or anything like that, did you do any kind of like drum lessons or anything?
I did a little bit of drum lessons, but I didn't start drum lessons until I had already been self-taught. I am self-taught, like, and I'd been playing for a long time before I started taking lessons. And then after like a few months of lessons, the guy was like, "I've taught you everything that I could possibly teach you. Like, you need like a different type of teacher."
Right. And like continue on in like the next level.
Like a dedicated teacher. He was just like, he just worked with. Basically, I was like ahead of his like all of his lessons and books and stuff. So I don't know, and like I mean, it was helpful. He actually did teach me some like fundamental stuff that I totally missed because, you know, I'm self-taught. It happens.
Right.
So it was good. I'm glad it happened. But then after that, no, I never really took lessons. I just like because I'm self-taught, I just like mimic what I hear because that's how I learn. So like I was just listening to like songs and then figuring out what made what noise and just figuring out how to like play it and like what rhythms with your body make what noises or whatever. And like, so now that's how I like do everything. I just listen to a song and like figure it out in my head and then I can play it usually.
Oh, so you're not looking at like for guitar or something, you're not looking at like necessarily tabs or anything like that, just kind of like listening by ear more or less?
Well, if you're talking about like if I'm writing with the band,
or just trying to just kind of learn a song. Like if you were gonna make a cover.
Yeah, no, I don't look at tabs at all. And it's funny because sheet music and tabs for drumming is like almost the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just tabs. Like it's sheet music, but each like bar is like a different drum. So it's literally the same thing as tabs. It's so funny. But anyway.
Okay. Because I know
right?
I know, like I took a beginner guitar class while I was in high school, and they started trying to teach us like sheet music and stuff. And then I was like, dude, this is too complicated. I could just go on, guitar tabs and figure out how to play Enter Sandman instead of playing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or something like that. But so was so drumming was basically something that you were just always interested in. It's not something like you just kind of picked her up later in life.
Yeah, I mean, I was always interested in it, but like I just never, I mean, I was a kid, and I didn't think that it would be like a real possibility until it was.
Right.
I don't know, at least for me, I don't dwell a lot on like non-options.
Right.
That makes sense. But
right.
As soon as like it became like real, it was like, oh, I can definitely do this.
So who are some drummers and stuff that you kind of take some of your influence stuff from, or some drummers that you particularly enjoy?
I think my first really big influence was the drummer of Mudvayne. His name's Matt McDonough. And then from there, I started kind of like, I'd get into bands, but like I stopped caring about the people in them.
Right.
So I love music. Don't get me wrong. I listen to like a lot of different music, a lot of bands and stuff, but like I don't know the names of the people in them, and I don't know what they look like. Right. I could walk by like rock stars right now and not know who they are. Like I don't know, but yeah, like I don't know. Like I got into like Slipknot or whatever, all the what everyone kind of listens to, especially when they're like younger or whatever. And then I started getting into like.
Like your mainstream ones and stuff, like
yeah, and I listen to a lot of Korn, but all that's like super simple drumming, so that was never really interesting to me. Like I always wanted to be like, I wanted to be like a good drummer. Like I wanted to be able to like sit down and really be good. So I was always interested in trying to play stuff that was like above my level all the time.
Right.
Like I started wanting to be able to play double bass, so like I never knew what it was like to not have it.
Right. So I mean, you were looking more at like the actual techniques as far as like whatever person playing the actual drum.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right. That's awesome.
Yeah,
because I think like for me, whenever I started wanting to play guitar, I was like, I want to play whatever the lead guitarist of like Avenged Sevenfold stuff, but because it took me a while to like kind of understand the technique stuff behind it or anything. Yeah. So I think that's super interesting that you were more focused and thought more of the technique rather than the actual player.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm like pretty interested in Gojira. I know Mario Duplantier, I think his name is. Like, I know that guy's name.
Right.
Those are like the I know.
Right.
But yeah, like, I don't know. The other thing is that, like, I don't know, because some people's brains are really interesting. Like, they just want to know, like, what the people look like who make this music and stuff. Like, I don't understand the interest. Like, like when I look at a painting, I don't think like, oh, I want to know what the guy looks like who made this. Like, I want to know his name, stuff. Like, I don't know.
Right. Like, you can just appreciate the artwork that they put into it, as opposed to like who you need to see their face.
Yeah, I also think that like, I don't know, like I do remember getting really obsessed with like Korn and who those guys were and stuff, like when I was like really young. So like maybe at a certain point I just stopped caring so much about the people and just more about like the art. And then that's also when I started listening to like a lot more music. So maybe that's has something to do with it too. I don't know.
Right. Can you think of any particular point that made you kind of realize that you wanted to be in a band, or was that just kind of something that was that you always
That just
thought of?
seems part of it.
Right,
That just
right,
seems like part of it, you know. Like I always like what attracted me. What attracted me to drums in the first place was just watching people in bands play, you know, because like he's playing with everybody, and it was just really interesting to watch it. So it seems like
right.
when you get an instrument, like the point of playing an instrument is to like play it in front of people. I feel like it's part of it, you know. Like I
Right.
don't know.
Like a
I've met
natural.
a few.
Go ahead.
Hmm? I was just gonna say, like, I know a few people. Like this one guy in particular, I know he's like a master class guitarist, but he won't play in front of anybody. And it's like, what's the point? What's the point of being that good? If,
Right.
like you refuse to do anything with it. You could be like famous right now and like, eh, okay. I don't know. Like, to me, it seems pointless, but like to me,
Yeah, well, I guess you always need like studio musicians and stuff who can just go lay down the track and don't have any interest in being, you know, up in front of people. But I agree with you. Like if you're that good at something, I would want to perform.
yeah. I don't know. It's like part of it, you know. It's like you want to entertain people, you know. Like that's the draw, you know.
Right.
You're,
Right. Well, I think that's a pretty good segue into what went into how did Beneath Atlantis come together?
It actually started from the shattered remnants of a band that broke up before it. So I was in a band called Shadow and Me, and this guy named Lane Schwartz was the second bassist in that band. And then that band broke up. And then Lane and I basically looked at each other and we were like, "Do you want to keep playing music?" And we are both like, "Yeah." And we don't hate each other, so
Yeah.
cool. And so we started basically another project. And he moved from bass to guitar because that made sense, you know. And he's like, "I play both," and I was like, "I didn't know that." And then he picked up a guitar and he was shredding, and so he actually played all of the like stringed instruments in Buried in History. So that album was just written by three guys. It was me and Lane Schwartz and Ricky. So we found Ricky on, you know, online basically on like Craigslist or something. I think
And who's Ricky?
he's our vocalist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we got our vocalist, and then we got Lane and me, and us three wrote Buried in History, and we recorded it.
So
So
just you three?
yeah, it was just us three and our producer.
Wow.
Yep. And then as soon as we were done recording that, then we hired the other two guys because we can't perform without all the instruments that exist in the album. But we just thought it would be easier to do it that way because we had just so basically the Shadow and Me thing was such a blow. It sucked because we spent like 7 months of our lives writing an album that, and then as soon as we produced it, like the band fell apart, and you know because of band disputes, like we basically couldn't release it. So we had this like album that we were done with, completely ready to like send out in the world, and we couldn't. Um, so it sucked because we were like, oh, like we have to restart literally from scratch.
Right.
We have nothing. Like you know, we can't. We're not gonna pick apart those songs. Let's just start over. So, like, yeah, we just thought it'd be easier with three people, you know, instead of like finding the perfect matches and whatever. And Lane and I were just writing like crazy, and Ricky was right along with us. So, it just kind of came out. Yep. And then we hired CJ and Richard. So CJ's our lead guitarist and Richard's our bassist. And we started playing. I started playing shows until coronavirus happened, and now we basically don't play shows. We're just writing our second. You call it a second album, but it's. I think we're gonna release it like in like singles and EPs and stuff. So, but it's 16 songs. It's 16 songs, so whatever you want to call it, our second release cycle. Or
Right.
whatever.
Right. So at what? So you said it was you three who started writing the album. What is like a writing process? Because you said Ricky is your lead singer.
Yeah.
So how does it go from like, okay, you already have two dudes who are already working songs. How does that translate well into bringing somebody else in to help write songs? Was there any kind of like clashes or musical direction differences?
No, and it was funny because Lane and I, like the band that we were in before, was like very heavy. It was like very heavy metal, and like it was all screaming. There was a little bit of singing, but it was like 80-90% like very brutal screaming. Completely different kind of band. But then like we were planning on being in that kind of band. If you listen to most of the songs on that record are like instrumentally very heavy. And when Ricky tried out, it wasn't what we were expecting. It wasn't what we were looking for. But like when Ricky started singing, we were like, it's never what we would have been looking for on purpose. But like after we heard it, we were like, pretty cool actually. Like, okay, let's try it. Fuck it. And he just started writing over what we already had. So even though it was already heavy, he was just singing on top of it, and we're like, cool. It's as long as it sounds, as long as we all agree like it sounds good. We tell each other like if we don't like something, we'll definitely tell each other. But for the most part, like there's no step on each other's toes and stuff. Like we're all really competent at what we do, and like there's very rarely anything said to each other instrumentally, but even if there is, it's always really respectful and like really well received. So like us five, like we don't have any like conflict basically ever. Like for instance, like when it was just us three and Ricky came on board, I think we had like 4 songs or something. And it was basically like we had built them instrumentally already, and he just started putting lyrics on it. Like they were built though. We had the verses, like it had the songs had intros, and they went into the verses and the chorus and the bridge. Like we built the song, like we knew what we were doing to build a song. It just didn't have any vocals on it, so there wasn't anything that like he needed to change. And it's not like Ricky is like a really proficient guitarist or something. He's not going to pick up a guitar and like start giving them ideas. And same thing with me. I'm a dedicated drummer. Like I don't do anything else. I don't have much to say to you. Like I'll tell you if I don't like it, I guess. But I think that these guys like they write really like up my alley. I guess I just like what they do, so I never have a problem with it. I'm just like stoked to be there.
Right. That's awesome. So before you guys brought Ricky in, I think you just said it, but how many songs did you guys have written before you brought him in?
I mean, I'm just guessing. It's been a long time, but I'm just guessing. I think it was like 4, something like that, 3
right.
maybe.
Right. So then
it was pretty early into the cycle, I think.
Right. So then later on, it was just kind of bringing him in to the writing process and just kind of incorporating him in with what you guys already kind of had as a rough foundation, more or less.
Our writing style never changed. So basically Lane just like writes guitar parts, and a lot of times we'll be jamming just like organically together, and I'll just start playing drums, and we just kind of like feed off each other and just kind of like, oh, this sounds good. Or sometimes he will by himself on his own time construct and write an entire song.
Oh,
and then
really?
and then I'll just put drums on it. Like it just different songs are constructed, different ways, but for the most part, it's like Lane writes guitar, and then like I put drums to it, and then at least for that album, and then he also had other parts in his head, but we didn't have the humans to actually play the instruments,
Right.
So I wrote it based on just what I could hear, which was one guitar. But now everything's different because now we have more people, so I can actually hear everything all at once, all the time, and it's being written by multiple brains playing the stringed instruments. But as far as that's concerned, like basically stringed instruments are like one unit, at least from my point of view, like one unit, and I'm picking apart what elements of the rhythm that I want to be like showing off, or like putting like spice on or whatever. I don't know, accenting.
Right. Well, what I really appreciate about your guys' songs, and particularly your drumming, I guess the term would be technique, is I think you really help like drive the song. if that's the correct terminology. Like your the way you drum and your drumming ability really helps kind of push the song forward, and it really like it all just works, blends very, very well.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So
Compliment. I feel like one of the jobs of a drummer is to be like.
So was there any particular songs that you can think of, or any parts of the album that was a little bit harder to write? Like, did you ever get like stumped on something?
The very first song, oh my god, first song that Lane ever wrote. So basically, like we were like, okay, let's restart, you know, because our hopes and dreams are crushed and we have to restart everything. So let's just fucking do this. He picked up a guitar, and the first thing out of his hands for our new project was the song Getting Nowhere. That was the very first thing that came out of him. And I was like, holy shit, this is way more technical than our old band. Like, our old band was very simple, and like, I'll send you the files sometime. Like, I have them, I just can't put them on the internet or anything, but I can like, show them to people.
Right.
But it was like not super technical, just like fast and like drivey. But like Getting Nowhere is very like technical, at least jumping from our old band. And it was originally written to be a lot faster of a song. But like we got into the studio and it was just like, it was a little too much for my ability at the time. So we slowed it down actually. Now I could definitely do it, but oh well. But I can't wait for our new, because our new stuff is, in my opinion, a lot better. Like we're all a lot better, and like the guys that we got since our first album are very good. Like we got like a dedicated lead guitarist, like CJ. He's like that's like what he does, you know.
Right. So at kind of what point in your guys' writing process were you kind of realizing like, okay, you know, we're, you know, the vibes are there and stuff, we've written a few songs. So at what point did you kind of realize that you had enough for an album?
I don't know. I think we kind of just winged it, you know, like it felt right.
Right. So go ahead.
It just like to play the entirety of our music at the time, it was like, it's a good set list, you know, it's like an hour. You know, it seemed reasonable, like seemed like a good album. Seems like you don't want an album to be too long, but you don't want it to be too short either. It's like an hour seems pretty like you know, in the middle.
Right.
Sorry if I'm like going down rabbit holes or whatever.
No, dude, you're actually hitting a lot of the questions that I already planned on asking, which is awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
I definitely appreciate it.
I think a lot of the information probably like bleeds together. Like you probably, you know, you need like certain information to like make other things make sense. So
no, dude, you're already hitting everything. So which is awesome. But so was the 10 songs that you have on the album the only 10 songs that you guys wrote, or did you have more that you wrote that just didn't make it on the album?
No, that was everything. That was everything that we wrote.
Right.
Basically, I think we decided that we were going to cut an album. We stopped writing new songs and just wanted to get really good at what we had. And then we didn't play any live shows until after the album was cut. So we were practicing to like the album, which was like perfect, at least time wise. You know
right.
Like we knew like what the songs were supposed to sound like and how fast they were and all that stuff, and like we knew for sure like, okay, this is, you know what I mean.
Right. So you could just practice already the stuff that you have and really just kind of drive that home more or less.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. So did you guys produce your album, or did you bring in somebody to produce it?
Yeah, our producer's name is Eric Labrosse. He owns Cherry Pit Studios in Wisconsin, I think. Michigan? Wisconsin. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Did he come up there to produce it, or did you guys?
Yep. Yeah, he came to Alaska. We flew a bunch of his gear and made sure that we had stuff also, like, to make sure that we could assemble everything we needed.
Right.
We run the band out of, like, I think people are surprised when they see it. Like, we essentially have like a studio, but none of us do that for a living. You know what I mean? Like, none of us are like really great producers. We're all really good at our instruments. We have a lot of equipment, but we're not gonna dabble in that and put out something that's like half cocked. You know what I mean? So
right. Because I could only imagine that the production side of it is just like mixing and mastering is its own different skill set.
Yes. Yeah, they're their own guys. Yep.
Was it pretty painstaking to be able to actually like record everything?
So I know it's different difficulty levels for different instruments for sure. I'll tell you right now that for drumming in general, it's easier.
Really? Because I totally would have expected that drumming would be one of the harder instruments to be able.
You know what? I've never seen Eric work with like a really terrible drummer. But I'll tell you that every time I've worked with them, it's like, okay, next. Like, he gets a couple takes out of me and he's like, okay, good enough, next. So maybe he just like is okay with my takes. I don't know. I've never seen like him with like other drummers, but
right.
Seems like he's just really good at like editing drums and stuff. So I don't know. Right. But I know for guitars, I've seen it be pretty painful because they'll be playing their guitar and you'll be like, "Whoop, stop!" And he'll hear like Eric has like an amazing ear. Like, that's another reason why we know we would never be able to do that job. He can hear things that no one else can. He can hear when something's off a little bit that literally no one else can hear. And so like he'll hear like something weird that sounds weird in the guitar, and then be like, "Oh, play that again," and you'll like find the note. And so basically, what I'm getting at is like sometimes, I've seen this happen where the string like is in tune, so you pluck the string and it says it's in the tune it's supposed to be, but when you're hitting like when your fingers like on the fret playing a note, that's out of tune.
Oh.
So then he has to tune that one string out of tune to make that one part of the song sound right. And no one else can hear it except for him.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, so the guy that we work with, Eric, he's I don't know. He's amazing. He has a bunch of like licensed music that he's produced. So like a lot of like, I don't know. It seems like a lot of music they would hear on the radio, like he's produced actually. Like he produced a lot of music that's like on WWE and all kinds of stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like he was telling me like for a while there was this one band that came in and he produced and licensed them or whatever, and then they were on like Ferrari's song. Like every time they'd roll out a new Ferrari, that's what they were playing.
Jesus.
It's like, yeah, so that band got really lucky. Apparently they were making like a good amount of money. But it's just, yeah, I don't know, like you listen to him talk for a few minutes and you're like, oh my god, you're like famous.
Yeah, it sounds
like I don't know, like he's told me stories where I'm just like, who are you?
That's really, really cool. That's really cool. But
yeah,
obviously he did a great job on your guys' album.
Yeah, he's very talented. He can, yeah.
But really... so transitioning into live shows, I want to know what, like, because I think anybody who ever plays any instrument and stuff and aspires, to perform perform in general, really wants to do a live show. What's that whole experience like? Like, what is it like, like the last show that you guys performed versus like your first time? I guess that could be a separate question. What's it like to perform?
So it's funny you asked that because the last show that we performed was it was a long time ago, actually, a few months ago now, because of coronavirus, everything's been shut down. But we opened for Alien Ant Farm and Saliva and Framing Hanley. And it was like the first show where I had played for bands that were like signed, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like I stage with people that were like real rock stars, and I wasn't back there because I paid to be. Like I was back there because I belonged there. So that was like pretty fucking cool, you know, like
Yeah.
it was like the first time that had happened to me, like, and that was like an amazing experience. But my first time playing, even now, even when I play shows now, like I'm always nervous, but I'm kind of like an anxious person anyway. But I still get up there and play. It's whatever. But yeah, I don't remember like what my first time ever playing in front of people was. I don't remember like the exact event or like whatever situation it was. But I've definitely gotten up there and not done well. That's for sure. I've done that a lot. But it's fun when you get up there and do well. Like it's always nice.
Right.
Oh, that last show I felt like it went really well. Unfortunately, we had an error with getting that show recorded, so it's like the only live performance that we've ever played that like we basically don't have anything to show for it, which is really a big bummer. But yeah, I don't know. You just get up there and hope that you don't completely fuck it up for everybody.
Is there anything that you do like before a concert to kind of like calm yourself down or like get in the zone more or less to be able to perform? Because I can only imagine the anxiety that one would have before going up on stage.
Yeah, I just like try and make, this is gonna sound stupid, but I just try and make sure I don't drink like too much water, so I don't have to like piss in the middle of like I just start and I'm like, oh, I have to pee, like that was super annoying. Like, you know, I don't know, just like simple things like, yeah, not really. Like I don't do anything special. I kind of try and like warm up just so I feel like I'm not going in completely like, you know, not elastic. I don't know. Like if you play an instrument, you know what I'm talking about. Like
Right.
you play guitar, you know, and you like warm up, you're a lot better after you've been playing for like an hour versus like 6 minutes.
Right.
I try and like warm up, but it's kind of hard to like find somewhere where you can like warm up sometimes, because like all the times you're playing a show in a bar, and so you try and find a quiet corner to slap sticks around, but inevitably someone's looking at you like you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Yeah, I just mostly try and not get up there completely like, you know, like I try and warm up a little bit. That's probably the biggest thing.
Right.
I honestly, I'm saying this out loud to you, and I'm saying this probably isn't a good thing. I probably overthink everything, but I kind of go over the songs in my head. Like I go through them in my head, like parts and all the transitions and the set list, and you know. But I'm an anxious person. I'm just thinking too much. Probably I need to just like get a beer and like relax my life.
But I could totally imagine that like before you would go up on stage and do anything, like you like there's no surprises up there. There's nothing, so you're trying to make sure you know you got your set list and everything down. So I totally understand that. Not that I understand. I've ever done that before, but yeah, I could definitely imagine that, man. I could only imagine how nerve-wracking that'd be.
Yeah, I also feel like, and this might just be like my own like, you know, kind of prejudice or whatever, just because like I am a drummer, or bias is probably a better word for that. But it's probably my own like bias. But I feel like when the drummer messes up, it's so obvious. Like it's like the most obvious fuck ups. Like when like, you know, the drumming completely fucks up, or like if the vocalist is terrible. Like I feel like those are the most noticeable things.
Right.
And so I'm always just like really nervous to mess it up for everybody, you know, because it's not just me. It's like we all spent all this time and energy to do this, and I feel like if I'm messing it up for everybody, it sucks, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, even at some live shows and stuff, you know, sometimes some stuff can get kind of like bleed together, like some of the guitars, but some of the you hear the drums and vocals almost over anything else that's there. So I could definitely see that. Do you guys use in-ears while you're performing?
No.
It's so is it hard to hear kind of like what like the guitarists and singers are doing in comparison to you?
No, I haven't had a problem with it. With Beneath Atlantis, with this band, like, I feel like we've done a really good job of getting our sound leveled with each other, and we're pretty good at it now. I have not had a problem like hearing people. I feel like our first few shows, like, I had a little bit of a problem hearing people, but like I got through it and we got through the night just fine, so it wasn't a big deal. But now I really feel like I can hear everybody all the time.
Right. I'm sure with just kind of playing in general, you probably develop like a kind of a different ear to be able to listen to those different parts.
Yeah, and I've also learned to, as a drummer, just like play a lot quieter too, so that I can hear over myself.
Oh, right. So
Because you can play.
Go ahead.
Huh? Oh, I was just gonna say, you can play drums loud as shit all the time if you really want, but you don't need to. And I used to play like that, especially because I'm self-taught. So like beating the shit out of everything, even though I really didn't need to.
Right.
But now I'm learning to play a lot quieter. I can like hear things through the drums better, which is totally fine because drums, even when you're barely tapping them, are super, super loud.
Right. Is that something that you learned just from playing live shows, or just kind of like band practices and stuff?
Everything, yeah, experience, just everything.
Right.
Like, not even just from playing live, but just tearing down your, all your shit and taking it somewhere else and playing in like a different room that has different acoustics, and just the experience of everything. Like anything and everything is experience, You start feeling out the bodies and the acoustic changes because sound, the sound's going through people and stuff. So you just, you're hearing everything. And, I'm glad I'm not like a sound engineer of any kind. I just kind of am a peripheral guy that just is listening and learning, but like it's nice because I don't need to know all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys work really hard. Like, there's a lot of jobs like in the music industry that are overlooked, which is kind of sad. But oh my gosh, it was so cool. Like, I'm so sorry, this is a stupid segue, but like at that big show that we played that I was talking about,
right?
It was big for me, But
no, dude, that's definitely a big show. That's something to be proud of.
I had such a good time, but like it was so cool because like the sound guys for that show, like I can't even. They were like a pit crew. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like it was so cool. Like they were like, because you've seen like a mic'd up drum set, like how many mics go on a drum set.
Right.
I brought my own drum set to that gig, so I was like, so they came and were like micing my kit, like. Oh man, I keep throwing myself under the bus, but like this guy was like, hooking a mic to like my snare, and he was like, "Oh, do you want it here? Because it looks like this is where you strike, and like so, if you're hitting like a head, like the head of a snare, you can see like where it's been hit a lot." And it was like off center because I could be better, I guess. And I was like. I looked at it and I looked at him and he was totally serious. He was like ready to put, because I like in his mind, like I was the expert. I'm the drummer. If I'm hitting it there, it's because I'm doing it on fucking purpose because it's the sound I want or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he didn't question that I was just a fuck up as a drummer. He was just like ready to give me what I needed. Like, and I was like processing this like moment, like this is crazy. No, put it on the center. It's where I need to hit it,
Right.
Put it on the center of the snare. Like that's because I'm dumb. Like
but that's like something as his job and being a professional in his career field is something that they got to think about, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, because I could totally see it like I don't know, like different drummers having weird little ways that they do things because it's the sound that they like or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, it was just funny. Like, who knows who they work with, you know?
Right.
With
So
like really, really good, like people that know what they're doing at their instrument, people all the time, you know? So it's just like, yeah, it was funny. It was like a different world.
yeah, dude. Though some of those some of those positions like sound guys and stuff who don't necessarily get the recognition that they deserve and stuff, I feel like they kind of get forgotten about with like all this Rona stuff going on, and not being able to put on help set up shows and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. But so you guys are working on your next series of songs. When can the people start expecting to hear new music from Beneath Atlantis?
I don't know. Like, we haven't nailed down release dates, but that's not going to change how fast it's going to take us to actually cut the out, like make the music and have it in its like final form. It's not going to change how fast it takes us to get to that point.
Right.
We're not super worried about that right this second. Like, we basically have told people like, yeah, we're working on new music. That's about it, which is true. I mean, I don't know how readily available the information is, but the 16 songs are basically done. Kind of wrapping up one of them right now, but they're basically done, and the recording process starts mid-May, and will be done mid-June, which will mean, huh?
Are you gonna use the same producer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it's already. Yep, it's booked, and it's happening. Yep, and so that means that the album will be like completely done in probably July.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, the way that you properly release music, at least as far as Spotify is concerned, from the research that I've been doing, is you have to give Spotify a long time. Like, you have to give them your final product, and the earlier the better from the day that it releases, because the longer you give them, like the longer you give Spotify before your release date to like let your music, like, I don't know, like let their curation process happen and like get hype rolling for it and stuff, they'll actually put your music on playlists before it's released. If you don't do that process with them, then you can't get your music on Spotify playlists, which is like a big deal. We didn't know that for our first album. We just released it. We were just like, so yeah, we could have done a lot more with it. Maybe, who knows? We just didn't know what we know now. So now that we know, what I'm saying is, even though we're gonna have like a final product ready to show people, and we're probably gonna be really excited, and we're gonna want to really bad, we're gonna probably hold on to it for a little while to let those processes happen correctly, so that our music can actually go as far as it can for our own benefit. Because as exciting as it would be to release it as soon as we're done with it, we have to do things the right way and at least try and get it to trend,
right,
best we can.
Right, get more.
So we'll see.
That's interesting the way that works.
Yeah, we did everything wrong for our first album. Like, we had no idea. Like, basically, we dropped an album, never even played a show. No one even knew who we were. You know what I mean?
Right.
No one had ever. So even though we dropped this this professionally produced album, no one gave a shit, because who are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just fair. So,
I mean, I can understand that. Just separate worlds, but just from like just streaming in general, just trying to get people to come and view your streams and stuff. Like, people like the streamers that they like, or they like the music that they like, and then trying to get somebody to go and check out something new can always be difficult.
Yeah, especially because like it's time consuming. Like, I want to listen to new music all the time, but it's time consuming. Like, I listen to a lot of just discographies, and it takes me forever. It takes me like sometimes days to listen to a band. Like, I listened to the In Flames discography the other week, and it took me like all week. Like, they have so many albums. Like, it just it takes time. Like, I listened to your first episode, and it was like an hour and 20 minutes. Like you just have to like sit there and do it. Like even if you really like it, it's interesting. It just takes time. Like that's the thing. Like absorbing like art and any sort of media just takes time. Like if someone wants to listen to my album, I'm like, have you listened to it? It's like an hour of music. Like
Yeah. And
you have to sit down and listen to it. Like
yeah, like one of my favorite bands, A Day to Remember, had just came out with a new album. And even though I'm really big fans of them, it still took me about a week to listen to the entire album. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just hard to sit down and listen to something for that amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, new stuff too, like your brain is like processing it or whatever.
Yeah.
Decide judging and whatever it does.
Yeah, exactly. And so I wanna talk to you about your guys' music video. Because I think that how was the whole process of your guys' music videos? Because you guys have very high production quality for your music videos, and which is I think super important. So and I think what was your first music video was you guys at a Clutina Lake, right?
Yep.
Or was that
that was
Stand and Fight?
Stand and Fight. Hmm?
Right. Like, so did you guys bring out like hire a team to record your music videos, or was that?
You call him a team. It was one guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
he was actually recommended to us by our producer.
oh, really?
Yeah, so it was another guy from, I think they're from Michigan. Sure, they're from Michigan.
Right. So, and then
Same deal. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say same deal. We flew him up from where he's from,
Right.
and it was a lot more simple for that actually because he just had to come with like a camera and some equipment. It wasn't nearly as much as what Eric has to bring. He did have to bring lighting and stuff, but I don't think it was as much as what Eric brings. But yeah, and he came and did the Stand and Fight and the Stay Away music videos.
Right. So did for Stay Away, because there was more or less like a story behind that. And so did you guys, was that a discussion that you guys kind of had what you wanted to portray in the music videos? Like, was that end up you guys sitting down and coming up with that?
So the way, I don't know if this is I don't know how many of these conversations are gonna make it lose its magic, but I'll tell you, I don't care. My personality is pretty direct. We hired him to do the shots, and then basically like a storyboard was like an option, to be able to add that into our music. And me being the drummer and not the vocalist having anything to do with what the songs are about, wasn't super worried about the storyboard. I just figured, I think we ended up just kind of sending him the lyrics, and he just like did what he thought was cool. And if I remember right, we kind of just gave him creative license, just told him to make sense.
Oh, okay. Make something cool, because I think your guys' music really, really cool stuff, and it's all worked
Thanks,
well.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. And
so none of us are. I was just gonna say none of us are visual artists by any means. So like, with CJ's a little bit, but anyway, like the people that did the music videos in their different circumstances, we kind of just let them do what they're good at, and kind of let them tell us what looks good, because we weren't sitting there micromanaging someone else's art field. Does that make sense?
Right.
To me, that doesn't make. It's like if you give it to me and it's total bullshit, like I'm gonna know. Like I'm not stupid, but at the same time, we hired you because you're a professional. So like you make us look good. That's your job, and we shut up.
Right.
In my opinion, that's how I like to interact with these artists, and it seems to work out well. I think they like it.
Right. And I think then it's like kind of giving them more creative freedom. You end up with a little bit better product.
Yeah.
More or less.
I hope so.
Yeah. So then, well, one just kind of random question. I'm sure it was pretty goddamn cold playing on a Clutna Lake.
Oh, it was. Did you? Yeah, you watched it. Like,
oh yeah.
It had like real ice in our beards. Like everything in it was real. Like like we all had like ice in our beards. You know, whatever. We were really out there. It was really fucking cold. It was like January.
Oh God. Like I was because me and my girlfriend watched that, and I was even telling her like, you know, whenever you do like PT, legitimately get in, you know, ice on your fucking face. So I was like, it's gotta be goddamn cold there.
Yeah.
But well, we're at about an hour now, so I guess we can start wrapping this thing up. So, but I really appreciate you coming on here, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, dude, I've had a lot of fun. I'd love to get you back as long as you're willing.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Definitely have you back. So there's this one podcast I listen to called Drinking Bros, and they have every episode they have what they call the Drinking Bro of the week, which is more or less somebody who's kind of influenced you or give you inspiration kind of where you're at today. And so I kind of thought about adopting something like that called the Whiskey Warrior of the Week. And so is there anybody who you can think of particularly, whether, you know, family member or just artist, somebody who you feel like has helped you get to the point that you are in your life right now?
Honestly, like my biggest, like, you probably know him. You know Jared Gruber?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like my fucking mentor, like best friend. And that guy has gotten me out of so many jams. It's like not even funny. Like, oh my God. I wouldn't be where I am today without that guy. I'm serious. Like, not like, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, what am I trying to say? Like, I wouldn't be able to like be in a functioning band right now, I don't think, without his like help. And so, yeah, I don't know how. So this guy that I'm talking about is this guy that like him and I worked with, Cory and I worked with, and he was my like direct supervisor for a long time. He was my sergeant, and we just like cultivated and developed like a friendship that lasted like, you know, outside of the army, which I don't feel like I'm like really close to a lot of people now that I'm out. I don't know, like it's whatever, but like, yeah, that guy really like helped me figure out, because I was getting out of the army and I just felt like I didn't know what to do. I was like afraid of like failing. And he like really helped me like just organize my mind and like physically like what I need to be doing and stuff. So like I'm just kind of like an anxious dog. Like I need friends to like point me in the right direction and help me out a bit. Kind of dumb.
Okay, that's awesome. So where can people find you? Where can people find you or Beneath Atlantis?
In Alaska. Yeah, you can basically look us up anywhere. Like I don't think there's anywhere that we're not, except for Pandora. So you can look us up on Spotify, iTunes, you know, Facebook. What are the other ones called?
The Instagrams. You guys got an Instagram, right?
We're on Instagram. Yeah, we're on Instagram. We're everywhere except for like so it's kind of hard because we don't have all the time in the world, but we want to get to the point where we are doing like live stream type stuff.
Right.
But right now we're working really hard on this album and we're really excited about it. So that's just where our focus is going, which isn't like no one can see our work on the outside. You know what I mean? It just seems like we're idle, working a lot on the inside. Once we're done with that, we'd like to start live streaming. So at that point, we'll open up some Twitch channels and stuff. But for now, we're on like the social medias that are, you know, like visual, like YouTube and visual and audio right now. But,
right.
But like, you know, once we have a reason for like a Twitch and stuff like that, we'll probably start doing some streaming and trying to get out there more.
Right. Well, if you guys ever start streaming, doing Twitch or anything, you know, hit me up. Let's do something, man. But so is there any certain song that you would like to play, either for the intro or the outro of the podcast from your album, particularly?
We were talking about one song, Getting Nowhere. That was the first song that we ever wrote. So even though it's like a random song from the middle of the album, it's the first song that Beneath Atlantis ever wrote.
Right.
Fun fact. So.
Okay, man. All right, we'll play that as the intro and the outro. So yeah. Well, I appreciate you getting on, man, and we'll have you back soon, man.
Hell yeah! Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.